As Ben continues to cope with his breakup, he finds himself engulfed in a sense of listlessness. The once vibrant art student now feels a deep void in his life, exacerbated by the constant reminders of Susie moving on and finding solace in a new relationship with Steve. The sight of them together during lunch only serves to deepen his disappointment. Seeking solace and advice, Ben confides in his friend Sean, sharing the details of his breakup with Susie. Ben reveals his belief that Susie was always searching for something better, be it better parties or better boyfriends. This understanding led him to the difficult decision of ending their relationship, as he doubted his ability to make her truly happy. Sean, ever the optimist, suggests that Ben should date a beautiful girl, possibly even a model. He proposes that this might ignite a sense of competitiveness in Susie, prompting her to want Ben back. However, Ben remains skeptical, considering Sean's own unsuccessful experiences with women. In his art class, Ben's attention is captivated by a stunning girl across the room. Enchanted by her beauty, he starts sketching her instead of the nude model, only to be interrupted by his art teacher, reminding him to focus on the task at hand. The fleeting encounter leaves a lasting impression on Ben's mind. As days pass, Ben's emotional state deteriorates further. Sleep eludes him, and he finds himself consumed by thoughts of the failed relationship and the sounds of intimacy that echo through the dorm walls. Desperate and overwhelmed by regret, Ben decides to reach out to Susie in hopes of reconciliation. However, his plea is met with a firm rejection, deepening his despair. To combat his inner turmoil, Ben attempts to keep himself occupied during his free time, both day and night, though insomnia plagues him. He is struggling to move on from the breakup and find a sense of peace within himself. During one of his nighttime escapades, Ben stumbles upon a local supermarket and notices a flyer advertising a job opening for the night shift. Seeing this as an opportunity to keep himself occupied, he secures an interview and becomes an employee of Sainsbury's supermarket, under the supervision of his boss, Jenkins. During his night shift, Ben finds himself fixated on a spilled bag of peas, lost in his thoughts until Jenkins reprimands him for not attending to his duties. However, his attention is quickly diverted by the sight of a beautiful woman reaching for something, which reminds him of his love for painting the female form. Ben perceives a hidden power in the female body, believing that most women carry this unconsciously. Jenkins interrupts his reverie by slapping him on the head, urging him to clean up the spilled peas. As Ben adjusts to his new job, he observes how his co-workers pass the time in various ways. Sharon Ponte, the cashier, avoids looking at the clock altogether, while Barry Brickman and Matt Stevens engage in mischievous activities, such as slipping adult toys into women's shopping baskets for amusement. Their boss, Jenkins, occupies his time by indulging in self-centered conversations, relishing every moment of attention he can garner from his bored employees. In contrast, Ben adopts a more unconventional approach to passing the time. Immersed in his melancholy, he dissociates from reality and envisions time as motionless, allowing himself the freedom to engage in whatever he pleases. As Ben delves further into his thoughts, he reflects on his early experiences with the female body. Recalling a time when his family hosted a Swedish exchange student who freely walked naked from the shower to her room, Ben admits that his interest in her nudity was partly driven by curiosity rather than purely perverse intentions. Ben was surprised by how the women posed naked in such a shameless manner and didn't quite understand it. In this phase of his life, Ben finds solace and distraction in his night shift at the supermarket, exploring his artistic appreciation for the female form, while observing the unique ways his co-workers navigate the passing of time. Mostly, he had looked at the woman's body with a deep and genuine appreciation for her beauty. Ben notes that this event was what influenced him to become a painter. During Ben's world of frozen time, he would frequently disrobe the beautiful women in the supermarket, and on each aisle, he would sketch their bodies one by one, fully focused on their bare beauty. When he was ready, all Ben needed to do was crack his fingers, and he could return time to its normal course. Back at his dorm during the morning, Ben is visited by his friend Sean. Ben recounts a story of when he and Sean were 5. One afternoon, Sean's mother went out shopping, leaving the two boys alone. Sean had the idea of showing Ben had some dirty magazines that his parents had hidden in a drawer. Ben was surprised by how the women posed naked in such a shameless manner and didn't quite understand it. Suddenly, Sean's mother walked into the room. Sean rushed to hide the magazines back in the drawer, and the two boys walked up to Sean's mother, and the both of them were unknowingly hard. This led to Sean's mother believing that the two of them were gay. That morning at the dorm, Sean gives his word of advice to Ben once more. Sean tells him he should find a few Natalies. To Sean, a Natalie is a woman to have a one-night stand with. The terminology came from an instance when they were young. Sean had figured out that the women in the dirty magazines were mainly stripped naked because they were being offered a large sum of money. With this newfound knowledge in mind, Sean brought a wad of cash to a girl named Natalie. In exchange, Natalie would show her private parts to Sean. Soon, Natalie became popular with the young boys in their neighborhood, and all of them lined up with money in their hands. During another night shift, Ben encounters Sharon in the locker room. The cute and charming Sharon takes a bite out of Ben's sandwich. A piece of pickle sticks to Sharon's cheek, so Ben awkwardly tries to tell her to wipe it off, but she keeps missing it. Ben meekly wipes the bit of food from her face, and they share a smile before Sharon leaves the room. Ben wants to stop that moment and live in it for a week, but he's only able to slow it down. Sometime later, Ben finds out that Matt had asked Sharon out on a date, which disappointed him. Ben then notes how strange it is that the word crush is used for both warm attraction and a heavy disappointment. Ben then enumerates the crushes that he's had in his life. His main crush was a girl named Tanya Green. When they were in elementary, Tanya had gotten into an accident that ended with a cast on her left arm. Ben notes that what held his fascination the most about Tanya was how she handled the cast with faultless grace. The day that Tanya got her cast off, she was bullied by her classmates because the hairs on her arm had been overgrown. Ben approached her when she was crying and cheered her up. Because of this, Tanya became Ben's girlfriend. One afternoon, Ben and Tanya were on the verge of their first kiss, but Ben postponed it for a later time. Ben would regret this decision forever as Tanya and her parents had moved to America the day after. Ben's boss Jenkins recruits the staff for a weekend football game after an embarrassing defeat of 26-0. A ball hits Jenkins square in the face as Matt tries to pass the ball to him. A bleeding Jenkins is rushed to the hospital by Matt and the other teammates go home, leaving Ben and Sharon alone. Ben and Sharon stop by a nearby diner, and the two of them get to know each other better. There, Ben discovers that Matt didn't sleep with Sharon. She then shares her dreams with Ben, and Ben does the same. Sharon says that she's always wanted to meet a painter because she imagines that they could see the beauty of things, and that thought was romantic to her. That night, the two catch a fondness for each other. Ben walks Sharon home, and Ben messes up their first kiss by awkwardly kissing her on the cheek instead. The following day, Jenkins announces that he'll be having a birthday party soon, and he's inviting everyone. Sharon asks Ben to go with her to the party as her date, and an overjoyed Ben agrees. Later on, Jenkins tasks Ben with hiring a surprise stripper for his birthday party. For this, he enlists Sean's help, and in exchange, Ben will take him to the party. Sean takes Ben to a strip club, and Sean proceeds to recruit a stripper. The entire time that Ben is there, all he could think of is Sharon. He imagines Sharon in the corner, shrouded in darkness lit only by a glowing pole. Sharon's dressed in a provocative black outfit as she dances around the pole while staring into Ben's eyes, and Ben is completely mesmerized. The night before the party, Sharon checks in with Ben if he still wanted to go with her. Ben says yes, and Sharon kisses him. The gravity and the importance of that kiss could only be fully appreciated by stating that it's the one thing that finally helped Ben sleep. That evening, Ben sleeps until the next afternoon after having been awake for 4 straight weeks. Ben is then woken up by a phone call from a man who wishes to put his art on display in a gallery. Sadly, it's just Matt and Brick playing another one of their pranks. Ben reports that he doesn't think about Susie very much anymore, and during work hours, he even stopped thinking of the beautiful women there. All that's on his mind is Sharon. In the world of frozen time, he draws Sharon over and over, totally enamored by her beauty. It's the night of the party, and everyone is preparing. Ben picks up Sharon from her apartment, and he excitedly tells her about the offer he got from the gallery. Sharon is happy for him, and the two proceed to the party. The party is already well underway when Ben and Sharon arrived. Sean is getting turned down by a girl again, Matt and Brick are dancing ridiculously, and Jenkins is at the DJ station. Ben is surprised to see Susie at the party, and he finds out that her boyfriend Steve is Jenkins's brother. After an awkward encounter with Susie, Ben and Sharon go on to enjoy the party. Eventually, the surprise stripper comes in. She dances in the middle of the room and directly in front of Jenkins, giving him a lap dance. After the dance, the stripper goes up to Sean. He recognizes her, and funnily enough, the stripper is actually Natalie from Sean's childhood. They greet each other, and the two of them hit it off near instantly. While Ben is waiting in line for the upstairs bathroom, Susie approaches him. Meanwhile, Sharon is waiting downstairs with Jenkins trying to make a move on her again. As for Brick, he's set to do a stunt that involves him riding a box down a flight of stairs. Everyone gathers around the stairs to watch Brick. At this point, Susie kisses Ben in an attempt to reconcile with him. At this moment, Sharon had looked over the upper floor because Brick was about to slide down the stairs. Sharon sees the kiss between Ben and Susie, making her storm off in a rage. Ben pushes Susie away, and he rushes towards Sharon, who is now about to leave for the door. Ben stops time once again, and he realizes that no matter how long he stays frozen, he cannot undo what had happened. Ben stays there by Sharon's side for 2 days before letting her go. Ben goes straight to Sharon's apartment and tries to explain everything to her, but Sharon is too blinded by her anger. Ben leaves her apartment, and for the next few days, he spirals into his insomnia once again. Additionally, Ben doesn't see Sharon at work too. The day comes when Ben visits the art gallery that Matt and Brick pretended to call from. The art gallery owner denies having an appointment with him, making him realize that he had just been pranked. But before Ben leaves, the owner spots his sketches of Sharon in his hands. The owner becomes interested, and not long after, Ben is offered a night to display his work in the gallery. One day, Sharon receives an official invitation to Ben's art display titled A Frozen Second. Despite her initial anger with Ben, she decides to visit the gallery. Once she arrived that evening, she is surprised to see that each artwork there is about her, with hundreds of different paintings all depicting her. As Sharon stands in awe, she catches Ben's attention, and they lock eyes. Ben tries to explain once again what had happened at the party, but Sharon tells him he doesn't need to explain. The art display expresses more than words could. Ben then kisses Sharon, and time stops, but this time, both Ben and Sharon can move in the frozen world. Ben takes Sharon out in the snow with 1,000 snowflakes suspended in the air. The lovers share a kiss once more in the world of frozen time. Ben thinks about how love is always there if you look for it, and that once in a while, you have to stop for a minute, or else you might miss it.